I was in Vietnam in 1969 and 1970. I was with the infantry. I was a forward observer for the infantry, which meant I called in artillery, airstrikes, and gunships during combat firefights, mostly along the Cambodian border. I was in the Cambodian invasion in 1970, May of 1970. I was in the lead helicopter that went in there. And I called in, during that same period of time, I called in fire for Green Berets and Navy Riverines as well. Combat is a fierce, unnatural situation. It is about trying to kill other human beings. It's pretty painful if you don't. You've got to do something to get your mindset out of death and the effects of people dying around you, friends dying around you. People getting maimed are even worse because they've got to go live with those missing limbs the rest of their life. The laughter is often gallows humor, but there is humor.
But you guys are in a gallows situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally a life and death situation every minute of every day.
So many times in these classes, you've heard me say, just because it's serious doesn't mean we can't laugh at it. Just because we're laughing at it doesn't mean it's not serious. What you just saw with Art Fillmore, by the way, who's a great human being, I'm honored to call a friend, he calls me a friend, and also a damn good lawyer. You ought to call him if you need one. But what Art went through, and that's what I put the first part right up front to let you know, that's what he went through in Vietnam. And you know, this is about how humor and laughter can help that post-traumatic stress, because we all go through post-traumatic stress. We all go through something that happened early in our life, maybe in our childhood, but maybe just earlier that day or something. And afterwards, when we think about it, we go through some kind of stress. That's post-traumatic stress. And Art has that from what he just explained to you. And now he's going to explain to you how humor helped him while he was serving. It's important you know that distinction, while he was serving. We're going to get to the post-traumatic stress disorder in a bit. Take it away, Art.
We did things to diffuse the tension, and is usually involved a new guy. If you're a new guy coming in an infantry company.
Is that an FNG?
Yes, FNG. And the FNGs had really green uniforms, and they still had their name on them, you know, because by the time we were out there, we didn't have names, rank, we were just out there. But in my unit, we had a monkey, and the monkey was our mascot. He actually went out and patrolled with us.
A real monkey?
A real monkey, yeah. We'd find him in the jungle, and he just became part of our group. And so we always told the new guy, your mission is to keep this monkey alive, because this monkey is the good luck token of we were called the wolfhounds, of the first wolfhounds. That monkey dies, the wolfhounds die, so you got to keep it alive. What we didn't tell you about the guy was a monkey. He'd ride on your shoulder, and so you had whatever you did, that monkey had to stay on your shoulder. We didn't know the guy was a monkey would ride on your shoulder, then inch a little closer, and get next to you, turn and face your ear, and
The monkey would do that?
We called it oral sex. Yes, he literally did. And so the new guy always got an earful. There's a lot of joking, and it's a lot of, if you learned how, there were all kinds of red ants, so you kind of learned how they burrowed. So you do things stupid like putting lighter fluid down and lighten your lighter fluid so you can give hot foot to a guy 10 yards away. He's walking along barefoot, all of a sudden a flame comes up and shoots him in the foot. So I wouldn't call that, I'd say that's probably pretty visceral humor.
Yeah.
But I think we would do just about anything to take our minds off.
To take your minds off
Yeah.
of the horror of war.
Yeah.
I heard one of the greatest expressions in Vietnam was, fuck it, don't mean nothing.
Yeah, don't mean nothing, man. There were some expressions like that. Don't mean nothing. If somebody threatened you with something, you say, "So what are you gonna do, man? Send me an arm?" Because you're already there, you know. And but there was an expression that probably summarized the whole war that is humorous and it is very poignant. And it was, "We are the unwilling, led by the incompetent, to do the impossible for the ungrateful."
Are you haunted by any of the memories of what happened in Vietnam?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the problem with Vietnam veterans, or what happened to Vietnam veterans, is when we came home, you couldn't talk about it because they hated the war so much, and they hated us. I mean, you hear the stories about being spit on and all that. Well, I didn't get spit on, but I came back from Vietnam in November of 1970, and Mizzou was playing KU in the last football game of the season. I'm from St. Louis, so I went to Columbia to watch the game. Sitting there, I didn't like having people around me, didn't like anybody behind my back, which is hard to avoid in a football stadium, and didn't like crowds, noise, didn't like anything, because always something bad came out of that kind of situation. And so I was very, very, very tense. And Mizzou scored and then fired a cannon. I jumped down the bleachers, you know, and I thought it was incoming. And I was literally 48 hours out of combat when I got there that day, because there was no transition. It was boom, buddy, you're out and go home.
Who were you with there?
My wife and some of my old fraternity brothers.
Were they shocked by you doing that, or they?
What's he doing down in the bleachers? Yeah, they're kind of shocked. You know, not a lot of people do that during a football game. And so, but we went to a party that night, and everybody was doing what they did in the 1970, which was getting stoned and being profoundly philosophical, you know, about everything. And so one of my best friends said, he says, man, he said, did you kill any women and children when you were over there? And I said, well, you know, there were firefights in which women and children were killed. And I said, but certainly wasn't our objective to kill women and children. He said, how could you do that? I mean, you've changed. How could you possibly do that? And I said, you know, until you're in the situation, I said, when somebody's shooting at you, you either take them out or you go home in a body bag. It's not a real cerebral thought process. And he said, well, I wouldn't do that. And I said, you have no idea what you would do until it happens to you.
Right.
I hope it never happens to you, you know. So that night I said, that's the last time I ever talking about that war. I didn't want to in the first place. And so I didn't talk about it for 20 years. And well, it was probably, I didn't talk about it until 1985 when I started working on the Kansas City Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And then I was with the other Vietnam veterans, and we started talking about it. But during that 15 years, I had nightmares virtually every night of my life. I mean, it was post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, it becomes a disorder, the PTSD, post-traumatic stress, when your life is interrupted, when there's no more order because of the memories in your head. You got that, okay. In the next episode coming up, Art is going to explain what helped him get rid of the nightmares and what restored his faith in God, which was completely taken away in Vietnam. That's the next class. Look forward to seeing you there. I have no idea what that was, but it just seemed dramatic. Was it? I don't know. I'll see you in the next class.